Welcome to Dad Talk Today. The podcast for dads facing some of the toughest moments of their lives. We are here to walk with men through divorce, keep them connected to their kids, help them understand their rights, and work for change in family law courts. Moms, you are always welcome too. We are all about advocating for shared parenting and doing what is best for our kids. Here is your host, Eric Carroll.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to Dad Talk Today. I am Eric Carroll, and I am so glad that you're joining me today. We've got a topic that's kind of a hot topic. It goes back and forth, especially in the parental rights community. Some believe in it, some don't. There's mixed feelings on it, and I wanted to touch a little bit on it. And we made a post a little bit earlier today. We got some mixed reactions on it, and that's okay. It's up for discussion. We're not enemies. We're definitely in here together, and I think sometimes some of the things that we say may come off different. But before we touch on that, if you're watching us on YouTube, or if you haven't watched us on YouTube, please go to our channel, Dad Talk Today. Please like, subscribe, and ding that bell so you get notifications when we go live. If you're joining us here on Facebook, thank you. We are on many different platforms, and we exist from viewers like you. If you would like to support our podcast, go to patreon.com/Dad Talk Today. And we thank you, because it's because of you that we can continue doing this. This will be the second show that I've got to do from the studio. Hopefully everything goes well. And thank you. It's, again, because of people like you that we can do stuff like this. And I believe it gets the movement all that much further. With that said, let's get into tonight's topic. Is the men's rights movement gender bias? Is speaking out for fathers' rights, does that go against women? This is an age-old topic that gets brung up anytime that you speak for fathers' rights. The topic was today, there was a meme that said fathers are guilty until proven innocent inside a family court, and mothers are innocent until proven guilty. Some said, man, that's so true. Some said, that's complete crap. It's not true. Let's go through it. I know one of the biggest arguments against saying a statement like that is that if a man has money, he can do anything he wants inside a family court, right? And you know what? There are some exceptions to that rule, and I believe for the most part it's true. But let's go to the most notable case as of right now. These two right here, Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. This is a case that's gotten national attention. Everybody knows what's going on. Amber made accusations against Johnny saying he was beating her. He was doing all these bad things. Then the audio got leaked. That was the other way around. Nobody's going to believe you, Johnny. Look at my size. Look at me. Who's going to believe you? But Amber, you were the one hitting me. He had this evidence, and he's got money, and he's a very notable figure. Everybody knows Johnny, right? He's been in everything. Pirates of the Caribbean, Edward Scissorhands. You're telling me that because he's got money, he's going to win. Well, guess what? He didn't win. He didn't win. Even though he had evidence, he had everything. Now he's being fired from his job. I think he get fired from, what is it, Fantastic Beast? So you're telling me that if a man's got money, that he can beat it no matter what? Johnny had evidence. He was presumed guilty, and he was still guilty, even though they showed his innocence. There is a bias inside a family court. And when saying that, that's not saying that mothers don't go through the same issues, because they definitely do. They face it. Family courts are toxic. Family courts are corrupt. I don't believe in them. We need to get laws changed, but it is what it is, man. And we've got to be speaking out about what's actually going on. Where I come in, where we talk about the statistics, you've got reports that say up to 90%. The U.S. Census Bureau, and I'll flash this up right here. The U.S. Census Bureau back in 2014, that says about 5 of every 6 custodial parents were mothers, 82.5%, and 1 of every 6 were fathers, 17.5%. That's good for ground beef, but it's not for parenting. They talk about toxic masculinity, and let's get on that for a second. So when we speak out about the issue of fathers' rights, we get some people in here and they're angry. Some mothers that have went through the system, they're angry. And it's complete crap on our part. And if they do that, they're just expressing their opinion. But if a father got in there and did the same thing that you do when we try to speak up, it would be known as toxic masculinity. There they go. This is what we were talking about, right? And toxic masculinity is a myth. It might exist, but it's on a very small scale. We are suffering from a lack of masculinity. When you see statistics like that and you see just how many homes are growing up without a father right now, toxic masculinity. I want to bring up something. I was thinking about this earlier today, and my father, he died back in 2013, and he is very much the inspiration behind what I'm doing here. He was a pastor. I'm not a very religious person, even though both my grandfathers, my father, they were pastors, and I seen their heart and their compassion that they had for wanting to help people. I always said I wouldn't be in the ministry, and now here we are doing this. I'm speaking to broken fathers, broken mothers as well. I've got so many mother supporters that come in here because they know what we're doing. A lot of these mothers are raising sons, or they're raising grandsons, or it's sisters that's got men that are going through these custody battles, and they see these issues that we're going through, okay? And they support it because they see the bias that's going on too. For you mothers that get mad when we speak out, realize this could be your son. He will face this bias. They are taught this bias inside of the family courts. Read up on the Duluth model, the power and control wheel, male privilege. There is such a thing as male privilege. They can teach this to the family law people, but when we speak out about it, somehow we're being gender biased, and it's so not true. But we get on. Let me get back to the topic of toxic masculinity. I had a dad. He was 6'9". I love him. I love him dearly. And when he died back in 2013, a part of my heart died with me. He had one of the weirdest names out there, guys, and I think it fits so much with what we're going to be talking about here tonight. Toxic masculinity. My dad's name was Toxie Carroll, Toxie, Toxie Carroll. I'm going to show you a picture of my parents. There's my dad and there's my mom, Annette. And I'm going to tell you, I love both of them with all of my heart. And even though he's not here, I swear I miss him every single day. And the lessons that he's taught me, they're here. But I love my mom just as much. They had differences in the way they parented me. There were different lessons that I learned from both of them, and I loved them equally. They both played vital parts in my life. There were times where they got in some big arguments that I thought, it's over. But I learned so much respect for my parents because no matter how hard it got, they stuck in there. And when my dad was in the ministry, my mom was right there beside him. She was ministering to the ladies. My dad was ministering to the men, and they did it. But I didn't have toxic masculinity growing up. I had toxic masculinity. Okay. I had my dad inside of me. He was there to guide me through life. He was there to teach me those lessons. He instilled that confidence in me. He was hard on me at times. And at that time, I didn't like it, but I've learned to love it. And now that he's gone, all those lessons that I wish I could go back to him and say, Daddy, I didn't see it back then. But I see it now. I see it now. I knew if I went to my mom, I'd get away with certain things. And my dad, I knew not to ask him to go to my friend. If I wanted to go to my friends or if I wanted some, he wasn't going to do it. And a lot of times, if I look back at it, I got to tell you, Daddy was right because I was a troublemaker. I like to go and do things I shouldn't. And like I said, a lot of times he was right. Sometimes he was wrong. Sometimes he could be a little bit too hard on me. But we are parents. There is no such thing as a perfect parent. But I could have been raised by him just as much as I could have by her, growing up. And then I became a father. I was a single father raising daughters. And they talk about toxic masculinity, but I don't think it's coming from the fathers. If we look at Hollywood and the way they portray fathers, I was talking about the other night, my wife was watching this new episode on Netflix, and it was one of the guys from Friends. I can't remember the show that's going on, but he was on there, and the kids were going to have to stay with him because the wife was going to work. It was this, or I guess they were going to try to present this different side of the coin, this different scenario, if you will. And the father's sitting there like, what am I going to do? I don't know what to do. I don't know how to raise kids. He's talking to the mom and just acting like this complete bumble idiot. And that's no different than fathers are portrayed every single day on those television sets. It's no different than how fathers are treated inside of the family law courts every single day, 82.5%. Now, there is people inside of this movement that will tell you that this happens equally to mothers as it does fathers. And that is just complete BS. We know it's BS. That's not saying that they're not experiencing the same things when they are going through it. That's not saying that you can't face bias and corruption in family court. And let me tell you, if I knew of a lady that was going through what I'm going through right now, I will suit up, get my uniform on, and I will go out there and fight for you just as hard as I would any of these guys out there. But for these guys, it's hard for them to speak out in the first place. I don't know what it is about the guys. They're told to just suck it up, get on. And when they do start speaking out, people show up and they're like, oh, that's bullcrap. You're not facing anything. There's no inequality in this, even though it's so blatant and inside their face. Inside this movement, we tell them, man, if you're doing that, you're going against us more than you're going for us. I've been told that if we go for legislation, it can't be a father's rights thing. If they hear it's a father's rights thing, they're not going to listen to you. But at the same time, they'll tell you, oh, there's no bias in family court. Then why can't, if 82.5% of the time mom is winning custody, why can't dad speak about the inequality? Why can't dad go up there and say that the system needs to be changed? Why are they not going to listen to dad? You say there's no bias inside of family courts. There's no bias in the system. But if you go up there speaking about father's rights, they're not going to listen to you. The toxic part is the stereotype that's been put on the men's rights movement, and that's been put on these fathers when they try to speak out. And if you see, again, men, they're competitive. You've got all these different organizations, right? Because a lot of them, they don't work together. It's like competition, the patriarchy, I guess. You know, they talk about it. I get it. But there's a lot of them that do. I mean, I just had a friend that he's flown down here several times to help me get the studio going. And I've met so many people in this movement, man, that when I need it, I'll call them up. I've had guys that call me up. They'll sit here and cry on the telephone with me for hours. And I'd be a liar if I told you I haven't done the same with them. We hide our feelings, but they're there. And then when they speak out, they're told to shut up, to be silenced. And it's just so hypocritical. Again, ladies, if you got a son right now, realize one day this could be happening to him too. Maybe you're going through parental alienation. Maybe you have been, you've been through this bad custody battle. And I understand. Realize if he goes through that one day, when he walks through those doors, he is destined to walk in there with the same fate that you're going through right now. I'm not saying it happens 100% of the time, by no means. But we need to encourage these guys to speak out. If you go saying that it happens to just as many mothers as it does fathers, and then we go for legislation and they look up the statistics and see how many mothers are going through this, and they think, let's times that times two. That's the only amount of people that's going through it. You need that 82.5% speaking up to get this system changed. You really do. And the fact that when we speak, we're not listened to, that's a part of the problem. You need to start listening to these men. They want to be fathers. We talk about the father absence that's going on in this country, especially, I feel so bad because the African-American community gets talked about the most, because I think it's around 80% of homes now without a father in the African-American community. It's even became a running joke and a stereotype that dad's just not going to be there. And I have such a problem with that, because it's an issue that's brought up all the time, but nobody's doing anything about it. And when then those guys try to speak up, they're being gender biased. And it's because they just don't want to pay child support, guys. That's what they look at us like when we speak. You are guys that just do not want to pay child support. You don't want to be in your child's life, and you don't want to accept responsibility. And I can tell you, some of the fellows that I've met are some of the best parents. I'm not just going to say fathers. They're some of the best parents that I've ever met in my life. They didn't have nobody to teach them how to be father. They learn from mistakes, and they can do it just as much as a mom. And ladies, we know that you can do it. I love mothers so much. You play such a vital role. You are the ones that give birth. You play that vital role. We are not being competition, but please give us a voice, and please give us room to speak about this. When we speak, it helps you. When we talk about the numbers of people that are being affected by this corrupt system that makes money and gets incentives for breaking up, for the destruction of families, this helps you if you've been going through these troubles and tribulations in family court, because that's how we get reform. They need to know how many people are affected by it. They need to know about voters. And when we speak, it doesn't have to make us competition, but Jesus Christ, if we're going through trials and tribulations, encourage them. Because how many men are committing suicide now? Have you seen it? Do you get on Facebook? Do you see the news? Every day, there is somebody new that I'm seeing inside of this movement that is committing suicide, that's went up against this system. They no longer have any money. Families turn their backs on them. They've had false allegations or something. They're stuck up against the wall. They feel like nobody's listening to them. They feel like they have no value. And the only option they have left on this earth is to commit suicide. And you're going to tell these people they need to stop speaking and that they're being hypocrites when they speak out about issues that fathers are going through. Let them speak. Let them speak. Encourage them to speak. For anybody that's doing that inside of the movement, I've actually been told there's people that won't come to the show now, professionals. He talks a little bit too much about dads. I don't know. I don't know if we can be on that. What's wrong with talking about dads? We need to be talking more about dads. I faced criticism last year because I had dad in the name. Now, if I'd have had mom on there, I would not have heard anything. And I never see anybody go into the mom groups asking them, why aren't you talking about dads? But for some reason, when dads speak, when we find a movement, when we find a place where we can go and we can commune with each other, where we can find community and speak and find people that know what we're going through, that can relate to us. Somehow you're being gender biased. Oh no, it can't say dad. It's got to say parent. Bullshit. I'm going to say dad. I'm going to say it again. Dad, 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 because I am proud to be dad. I had somebody not too long ago, I visited a political rally, right? And one of the first things that they asked me, and they was like, are you an MRA? And I was actually very shocked. It was a girl that was in college. And she actually had a really big smile on her face because she had been studying about the men's rights movement and MRAs and had been studying up on feminism. She had watched The Red Pill. And that's something you just really don't usually see. She was very educated on the subject, but her first, question to me was, are you an MRA? And I had to pause for a second because I thought to myself, no, I'm not an MRA. And I'll tell you why. Do I speak for men's rights? Absolutely. Yes, I do. But I am not this stereotype that they're going to put in the corner once you say, I'm a men's rights advocate. No, you know what I am? I am dad. I am a father who happens to be a man. Okay. But I am a father that gets out here and speaks the truth. I speak about the injustices. I didn't start this podcast because I wanted to be a podcaster or because I wanted to be famous. There's people out there that are doing hydraulic presses and pressing toys together and vacuuming out cars that's got millions and millions of views. No, I'm here in this thing, this niche that's got this very bad stereotype because I see the bias that's going on. I see what's going on in family courts, and I want to see solutions. So no, I'm not this MRA. I'm not this stereotype. I'm not going to have this label, but I am a dad. And I know what it was like. I know what it's like to not see your child for years and not to have any rights just because I am a male. That's my reality. I went through parental alienation. I've went years without seeing a child of mine that I am glad to be dad. You think I went and did all of this because I don't want to be daddy just because I don't want to pay child support, right? No, it's because I want to be a daddy. I want to be with this child that I help give life to. And I can't because I am a dad. But you can. All you got to do is pay child support. All you got to do is get a paternity test. All you got to do is go to family court. All you got to do is get a lawyer. All you got to do is this, and this. All they had to do was let me see my child. Look, we might not be in a relationship anymore, but I can get past that. You know what? Life goes on. I might not like the instances. I might not like what happened during the relationship, but when it comes to my kid, I will do anything in the world for those children. And I love them with every single bit of my heart. I went from wanting to be this rock star, guys. That was my life, right? And all I could think about when I was a kid was getting up in this rock band and starting this. And I did. I had a career in music there for a while. I made a very comfortable living. And then once I started having kids, I started losing that passion for it. And I never really understood why and the lifestyle that came along with it. And my instincts just started, my kids were my everything. I just want to be a good dad. I don't want to be gone all the time. I want to come home to them. I want to sit down and play movies with them. I'll let them paint my fingernails. I'll let them put makeup on me or do anything. I went from taking myself serious and not wanting anybody to say anything about me or anything to letting the kids, put queen crowns and stuff on me and fake fingernails or whatever, because I didn't care. I was spending time with my girls. They loved it. They loved that I could sit down and be selfless, laugh at myself. And I love that I could do that too. And I just loved everything about them. It's what made me who I am. And it still is. Being a dad is everything to me. And to tell me that I am somehow wrong if I come out and speak about rights, or because I'm sitting in this chair and I know what I went through because I'm a male, and how the family courts want me to go through this system to be able to get any rights to something that I gave life to, and I'm being hypocritical, or I am being an enemy to somebody else that's going through it because I've got those views. No, you're not going to put me with those stereotypes. I'm going to speak up. I want you to speak up. More people need to start speaking up. They need to stop being afraid. We can do this together, but we can only do this together if we bring all the statistics to the table. You can have the angles. You can have the PC. I get it. Some of you, I don't want any opposition. I don't want to upset anybody. I don't, I don't want to feel any of that. Well, let me tell you something. When you start speaking up, you're going to face opposition. It's going to come. Not everybody's going to like what you've got to say. They're just not. And to get anywhere, to make progress, you're going to have to be fearless, and you're just going to have to get it going. For everybody that's been screwed over by this system, there is somebody on the other side of that table that thinks they got justice. They love what happened to you. So how are we going to get over this? By banding together and speaking up. But you're going to have to allow each other to have a voice. I have never once went to a mother that speaks about her story or any of these mother groups and said fathers too. I've never done it. I've never went to one of them and told them that they were being gender biased because they were not talking about us. I have never downplayed the trials that they go through, but on a daily basis, 204,000 followers on Dad Talk now on a daily basis. I don't comment back much, but I watch. Anytime a guy speaks, they show up. And they just try to put that thumb down. We don't want you talking, man. We don't want you talking. Guys, speak up. I know they've told you not to speak. I know they don't want you tell them what's going on. And you know what? The only way they can keep you going through this is if you be silent. You've got to persevere. You've got to get out there. You've got to push. And I'm telling you, together, guys, we can do this. I know sometimes it seems competitive. And after you've been through this system and after you've lived in this world, let's be honest, or you've been through divorce, you feel like somebody's out to get you. I'm no different. I've been there. I've had friends in this movement that I don't speak to anymore. I don't wish them bad luck. Guess what? I actually hope they succeed, because if they succeed and we get laws changed, then guess who that benefits me? That benefits me. That benefits you. That benefits the babies. So I want them to succeed. But there comes times that we feel like, everybody's out to get us, and we're leery of everybody. We might not want to work together. The only way we are going to get change is we've got to work together. We've got to. I'm not telling you not to be mindful, because there is people out there with ulterior motives. You know what? There are people out there that like to make money on this. They don't want it to get better. They'll tell you everything you like to hear. It's just like some of the televangelists. You can tell the fake ones, right? The ones that tell you everything you want to hear as long as that money keeps coming in the offering plate. What better way to sell you a sack of crap than something that you have such a desire for? I want to see my kids. I want things to get better. I will do anything for solutions for what I'm going through with parental alienation. And people smell that. They smell that desperation. I can get money off of that. You've got to be mindful, and you've got to learn how to discern who is who. At the same time, not everybody is out to get you, and victim mentality won't get you anywhere. It's not going to happen. But we can do this together. We can. I have people that reach out all the time wanting to help Dad Talk. I'm not a movement. We are here to speak truth. We are here to educate. But one person, I've got a few different contributors that come on here and co-host that I love to death. I love to death. But for the most part, keeping up with these messages, getting volunteers and stuff like that, and just keeping up with people's stories. If we did it, we would never get anything done. But somewhere, grassroots, we've got to start planting those seeds, and we've got to start watering that garden, and it's got to start growing. Because if not, all we've got now is all we're ever going to get. We've got to start doing something different. And I know it seems like that message has been preached over and over and over. I get it. And it seems redundant. And then people get fired up and they get told something's about to happen. Something's about to happen. Then nothing happens. Then they stop believing in it. I've only been in this a year and 3 months. I can't tell you how many times I've heard legislation's about to be passed or something's going to happen. And you get your hopes up. And then, you know what? Nothing was more realistic to me than going to these political rallies and hearing how people felt about the issues that are going on, not just with fathers inside of family court at all, just family court in general. It's big money. People make lots of campaign contributions and everything. There's a system out there that wants you to stay silent. And they know that a lot of times conversations like this keep us clashing, and that keeps us from getting any progress. And I'm told to stay out of politics, but to get legislation passed or to get somebody to start backing us, that's where you're going to have to go. But the number one thing that's told is that we do not have enough people that are going through this that would be voters to make a difference inside of elections. Now, you look at the Donald Trump, Joe Biden race right now, that is basically neck and neck. They still haven't certified anything. Okay. In some of these counties, I think the electoral votes are separated by around 100,000 people right now. You have 25 million parents that are affected by divorce. Okay. It's a $55 billion industry a year, 25 million. We do make a difference. We can be a large chunk of your voter base, just like all these other issues that you're facing. But until we get our act together, it's not going to happen. The men's rights movement is important, and we need it. And we need encouragement for these guys to speak out. And I get why some people might get mad, but the fact that when dad speaks or a man speaks for fathers, that it instantly just gaslights somebody, and somehow you're just magically doing something awful. It almost stinks. There is like this aura to it that people just do not want you to speak. And how dare you? How dare you say that? Oh man, you're going to get a lot of flack for that. I don't care. Bring it on. Bring it on. That's what we need to be telling every single one of them. The mainstream media is not going to speak up for you. You've got to speak up for yourself. We're becoming the media. We need more people to become the media. We need you in here. We need you participating in these conversations. Now, if there was some way, and I want to put this offer out there, and I'm going to do it on this video. If there's some way that mothers are going through this, that's different. And you know what? We all have different approaches. We have different things that are going on. I would help you in any single way. And if you will reach out to me, and I can't tell you how many of them I've sat down with, the number one supporters of Dad Talk, and I've said this numerous times, the number one supporters of Dad Talk are some of the greatest mothers that you've ever seen. They outnumber the men 10-1. They will be the first ones when we need something or that something's going on. They're the ones that provide the support. They'll provide funds or do whatever is necessary to make sure that we can keep this show going. This studio is here because of females, guys. Okay? So the fact that anybody would think that we are against mothers, we're not. We're against this system, and this system is biased against us. This system does not like us. This system has been taught that we are these dunderheads that don't want to pay child support, that have toxic masculinity. And guess what? What it really is, most of the time, dad's the breadwinner. And I know a lot of you ladies work. A lot of dads are starting to stay at home now. Some of them are just plain out sorry, because there are deadbeat dads, just like there's deadbeat moms. But for the most part, they think he makes the most money, I can get the most Title 4D incentives, because every dollar paid in child support, a good chunk of that goes right back to the state that you're paying that child support in, and they make money off of it, buddy. So if I can find the person that pays the most money in child support, guess who's going to benefit off of it the most? Well, the state, the government. Yeah, they're getting this to subsidize the let's talk about it. I do believe in child support. I believe kids, they have to have clothes. They have to have food. They have to go to the doctor. They've got necessities. I know. I was a single father. I know what it was like raising girls. They need more necessities than boys, believe it or not, a good bit more. But what does that cost? I know what that costs. Why are some of these people paying $1,000, $2,000, $5,000, $10,000, $20,000, $50,000 a month in child support? Don't get me started on alimony. I'm sorry that you lost your lifestyle, but if you wanted to get a divorce and move on, that one, I'm going to get off of it. That's going to go in a complete different direction. But it's a system, and it's incentivized against men. It is. Period. And for anybody that wants to debate me out in the movement, go ahead. It's fine. You never see the men on the billboards for domestic violence, do you? And I'm not saying we need to have a victim mentality, and I don't necessarily want to see men on the billboards. But you don't think domestic violence is not happening to them? You don't. Again, go back to Johnny Depp. Look what happened. And it's on the audio. They had the evidence of it. She still won. It's an industry. It is an industry, just like the family court is an industry, just like I believe CPS is an industry, and the adoption industry. There's things that go on, and they know it's going on, but they know until we make some noise, and if the media is not covering it, that we're going to continue going through it. It's not just the United States, guys. It's Canada. It's Mexico. It's Australia. It's just, I hear Europe, England has it worse than we do. And I think that's where Depp's case actually went down. But guys, it's happening worldwide. We are a movement that is so big that has yet to materialize. I believe we are at the birthing stage now. Even though it's been out for a while, we've got to have that explosion. And when I say that, Zuckerberg, don't go fact checking me or whatever, or putting any labels on me. I don't mean a bomb. I mean, we need that explosion. We need that burst of energy, that cooperation, if you will. Okay. We need it to start off strong, and we need to get out there and start doing what we're doing. Our kids depend on it. I don't want to sit in this chair. I don't want to be a podcaster. I don't. This isn't what I wanted for my life, but you know what? I'm glad to be here, and I hold my head high when I speak. Sometimes, you know what? It's hard. It's hard to sit here and say the things that are being said right now, especially knowing that there's people on the other side of that screen that can't stand anything that's coming out of my mouth. And I know that they just can't wait to get down there in comments and put all these negative things about me and tell me just how I'm wrong. Sometimes that can be hard because you're putting yourself out there. We need more people you got to be brave, man. Your kids depend on it. What are you worried about? Offending this person over here that don't believe what you're going through? Or that child over there that's waiting for you to stand up and do something about it? All these children over here that are waiting for us to stand up and do something about it. The fact that when we have marches and when we have rallies, and it's the thing that's talked about all the time, we're going to march, we're going to march. The fact that when we have had those in the past, that only 100 or 200 people show up makes me sick to my stomach when we find out just how many people are going through this. I know you guys got to work. I know you got many things going on, and sometimes you can't be as involved as you want to be. But I beg you, come on, man. I ain't going to hate on you. And you know what? Some of you guys might have some different views as well. Get in here and then let's discuss them together. I think it's, again, the competition comes in, the different views, and somehow, like, if we don't completely align with everybody's views, somehow we can't work together. Those children are our biggest common denominator. I don't care what your differences are. Those children are our biggest common denominator, and they are waiting for us to organize. It's time. It's past time. And for anybody that tells you that we're being gender biased, it's just not true. The courts have been gender biased for a long time. And I hope you realize that before it happens to your son, your grandson, your nephew, your brother. Ladies, we need you too. Because when you speak, they listen. It takes us doing stuff like this to be heard. because the world doesn't listen to us, because the toxic, I wanted to say toxic, because of the toxic masculinity stereotype. I've got toxic masculinity, and I love you, Toxie. I love you so much. Thank you for all the lessons you ever taught me. And thank you for giving me the courage to get out here, even when I know people are going to talk and say you can't do it. They're going to question why you're doing it. They're going to put you down for doing it. But you showed me what it was like to get out there and have compassion for people and to fight for what you believe in. My daddy taught me values, and I'm trying to pass those on to my kids. And I've got one that I'd like to pass those lessons on to as well. And until that day comes, I'm going to get out there. I'm going to get loud. I'm going to get loud, and I'm going to keep doing this. And I'm going to keep saying the things that I'm doing. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings in the process. That God knows it's the last thing I want to do. But I've got to be truthful. I've got to be truthful. And somebody's got to start standing up and speaking for these men. I have had the honor and the privilege to talk to some of the most world-renowned men's rights activists and people that speak on the topic of fathers' rights out there. Being a part of the White House Council of Boys and Men, the coalition, sitting there amongst Dr. Richard Warshak, Dr. Warren Farrell, Tom Golden, among many others. I'm like, how did I get here? But there's something about that, guys. These guys are getting old. It's the older generation. And I don't see many of the new faces in there. We've got to carry it on, and we need to learn. We need to find out where we've got to pick up and how much further it's got to go. And these people have laid the groundwork for us. And it's time we organize and make them proud. It's time we get out there and fight for the children. I love you so much. I know this is a topic that comes up all the time, and it needs to be hit on. And I think we need to have more conversations. There was a couple of times I've had women that have showed up to the group, and some of these guys, they run them off. And that pisses me off more than anything. But I hate it when it happens on either side, because it happens just as much on both sides. We've got to be speaking with each other. And you might not see what I'm talking about. You on the other side of that screen, you, the other sex that's going through this problem. You might not understand the issues that I'm going through, or the people that's commenting down below, or the people that follow this page. But will you listen to me? Because I promise you this, I'll listen to you. I might not always agree. You might not always agree with me, but I'll listen to you. And the world needs more of that. And I believe the more we do that and come in and lock arms, we're going to get somewhere. 82.5% of these guys need to speak. You need to let them to speak. When we add in that other 17.5%, then we're 100%. But to act like they're not the majority, if we want equality, nobody can have the majority. You want 50-50. Right now it's 82-17. Let them speak. I beg you, let them speak. Guys, speak. Ladies, speak. Anybody that's going through this system, speak. Maybe you're not going through this system, but you see it's a problem. Speak up. Let's get out there. My name's Eric Carroll. This is Dad Talk Today. Again, guys, we can't do this without you. Please go check us out, patreon.com/Dad Talk Today. And if you got any questions, concerns, comments, maybe you got some show ideas. I might start just talking random things about some of the good things that dads do. So it's not parental alienation or family in court all the time. I know sometimes we get on the same topics over and over. Don't mean to. But until we start making the progress that's needed, it's kind of hard to move on. But I thank you genuinely every single week for allowing us to come in your home when you have all these different things that you could be watching, all these different things that you could be doing. You tune in, you listen to us, and you support us. And I thank you. And this movement thanks you. And we are going to get there. I know sometimes it feels like it's not. I know sometimes you want to quit. I know sometimes you feel like you don't want to get up. You don't want to try no more. You don't even think there's any use, and there's nothing that you can do. There's nothing you can say that's going to change the situation that you're in right now. Oh boy, I felt it. I feel it all the time. I still do. There's times I doubt, what am I doing? Is it even going to happen? Am I doing this for nothing? You're not doing it for nothing, and you do make a difference. Get out there and do something today. Love you, mean it, and we'll see you guys next time.
Thank you for joining us tonight. We are fighting for the rights of parents worldwide. If you want to help support our podcast and for us to continue this mission, please join us at patreon.com/Dad Talk Today. You will find us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, CloutHub, Parler, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Spotify, the podcast app, Google, Apple Podcasts. We're a little bit of everywhere. And guys, every time you like and subscribe, you help us continue this mission. Thank you, and we will see you next time.